Listen up! There is a storm coming! Like nothing you have ever seen!
G'day, folks. How are you today? Still trying to set a screen up here. I'm running late as usual. How was your day today? Did you have a reasonably good one? It was bloody cold again here. When is it going to warm up? We're getting so many contacts at the moment from people about what's going on in our skies. And I can tell you, from Tasmania through Queensland through South Australia, these well, I don't know, cloud seeders, cloud spreaders, whatever the hell they're doing, seem to be pretty active everywhere at the moment. In fact, down on the Gold Coast yesterday, beautiful clear morning, and then all of a sudden it was like soup. It did clear up a little bit later on in the day, but it did take a fair bit of time to do that. Today, beautiful day in Brisbane, beautiful day on the Gold Coast, and as far as I'm aware, good day on the Sunshine Coast. But further south, cold, wet, miserable. I think that's basically the way things are going. Wet and miserable in Victoria. Now, there are some interesting things going on in Victoria at the moment. We'll get into talking about those in the not too distant future. I'm also going to touch on something that's going on in Western Australia that should be a concern for everybody, particularly if you're thinking about voting for the Voice. And that's voting yes for the Voice. I suppose we've all meant to vote, aren't we, at the referendum. But first of all, let me say good day to a few people. Who was first in tonight? hello. Nice to have you in. Toxic. Aussie Sue, great to have you in too. Thank you, Margot, for coming. And Alex is in. Debs is in. Paul, hope your knees are doing all right, brother. I've been feeling it. You know, I was walking around Bunnings on the weekend. I needed to go and buy some glue. And in the same aisle as the glue, I found these magnificent knee protectors. Now, God knows what I plan on doing on my knees, but I bought some. They were cheap. They were $9.95, and that is the trap of Bunnings. Don't go to Bunnings, blokes. I suppose there's a lot of girls that go for that same reason too, but I just walk around aimlessly, and if I've got $10 in my pocket and there's a pair of knee pads that I'll probably try and avoid using at all costs, then I think my toolbox has to have them. So, Paul, maybe I can lend them off to you, because I do know that occasionally in your now retired but occasional back at work stages, you do get down on your knees a bit. So I've got a bit of protection for you, brother. Who else? Daryl's in the chat tonight. Oh, Daryl. Man, that's something I didn't expect to see in the chat. I'll put that up so everybody can see it. I'm fine, but I know that my marriage of 26 years is full of pain and misery and not needed for me, and I have told her so. I'm going. Well, Daryl, I'm sure you've made the right decision for you. I'm a bit shocked. We've had a few firsts in Voice of Freedom days. I think this is the first separation/divorce that we've had announced. So I don't know what to offer commiserations or congratulations. I've been divorced happily for a long time. So I may have a biased point of view, but thank you for sharing, brother. I'm glad you feel that you have a family in here, and Aussie Sue is obviously a good part of that family. Then I'm glad you feel strong enough to share, and that's wonderful. If do we have anybody who's met in this chat room, has gone off and dated, got engaged? Do we have a baby yet? Is there a marriage? I suppose we should have the marriage before the baby if we want to be old timers, but you know, we're progressive these days. As long as we don't have to wear a rainbow bloody anything to the birth, that'll be excellent, won't it? So Daryl, yeah, sorry to hear that news, mate, but if it is the best thing for you, then it is the best thing for you, and it's probably the best thing for her too. Because if one or both of you are miserable, then there's not much point in pushing forward. I'm a bit of a firm believer in that. Hello, the gorgeous Sandy. By the sound of it, going to see you in Coffs Harbour on Saturday. There's a few folks coming to Coffs Harbour on Saturday from the Hunter Valley Way. So hey guys, let's catch up. Very keen to do that. I've been contacted by, Sandy, amongst others. So, yeah, we will arrange a little something probably for Sunday morning, and we'll have a little breakfast somewhere and a bit of a catch up and see how everybody's going. And of course, we'll be at the mega rally in Coffs on Saturday. We're coming down Saturday, so I don't know. We're planning to get there about lunchtime, I think. John's not on speaking until about 5:30, I think, or sometime between 5 and 6 at any rate on Saturday evening. And then we are going to do whatever one does in Coffs Harbour of an evening. I believe the event is going through until it's 8 p.m. Might even be 10 p.m. I should have sucked in. I do actually have the flyer somewhere. We'll suck it in for tomorrow night's show. And big fair happening all day. So lots of market stalls and lots of entertainment happening all day. I think it starts at 10 a.m. both Saturday and Sunday, with the conference starting at 3 p.m. both days, with speeches going through until I think it's after 7 p.m. both days. So if you're keen to go along to that one, love to see you there. We'll be there Saturday. Unfortunately, can't hang around. We will have to come back at some stage on Sunday, but there was a bit of a miscommunication. It could have been mine. It could have been the organisers. Either way, they put out a list recently that said I would be speaking on Sunday afternoon as part of the My Place setup with Penelope. Unfortunately, I just can't hang around that long. I can't be there Sunday, and well, until Sunday night anyway. So I've got an old pirate. I've got to get back on board his ship by a certain curfew time. You know how it works. So unfortunately, I can't be around for that. But if you do want to have a talk about my place on Saturday, we'll be wandering around, and you'll find me. I'll have a shirt on somewhere, and I'm not hard to spot. I sort of look like a little fat garden gnome with a grey beard. That's the easiest way to find me. Look forward to seeing you there in Coffs Harbour this weekend, and there might be a game of pool. I reckon we're going to have to go to a pub or somewhere that has a pool table, a big pool table. I just got a sneaking suspicion there might be some lessons coming my way. That's all I'm saying. Just that'll mean something to some people. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Maria, lovely to have you in too. Phil Cooker, another one in the family, is back. Good to have you, mate. I don't think we've seen you in the show for a little while, have we, Phil? Mind you, I've been a bit hit and miss with shows. So if that is the case, I'm terribly sorry for you. And I don't mean to put you off. I did put up one of those windows I was opening as we chatted was the Rumble live chat window, folks. If you are in Rumble, you can chat in there, and I will be able to see that pop up on the screen too if you're not watching through any of the ones that come into this StreamYard chat. Michelle, lovely to see you back in. Pamela's in the house, and George A350. Some good advice last night, George. Thank you for offering that up when you did. I think, and I wasn't going to talk about this, but I'm going to, so it's going to be off the cuff. Pardon me. I'm getting contacted a lot by many people who need help. Now, this help ranges from what you would normally expect with the likes of homelessness, occasionally, very occasionally, trouble with food. The people that I am mainly being contacted with or by are people who are having trouble with their doctors and with their mental health. Their mental health plans, in some case, have not been able to be fulfilled because some doctors, the ones that they've been seeing for a great deal of time, have been harsh in their assessment of those who choose not to get jabbed, and therefore have asked them not to come to the surgery. Therefore, it makes it very difficult to get scripts done without going through and sitting through a whole other mental health exam with a doctor you've never met before, trying to re-explain your history and yada, 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 yada. And I have actually seen this unfold with my daughter. So I know how painful and how difficult that can be, particularly for people in our community who are displaced. So there are a few people that have come out of the woodwork recently. There are others who have just been dealing with their own struggles in life and had an accident that essentially destroyed a home. That's a pretty devastating kind of thing to come to terms with. And I've got to tell you, when you get the email about that, it's a very difficult read, because I immediately want to help. I don't know what I can do, but I want to be able to do something. And I struggle on a daily basis with what can I do. I mean, I'm in no financial straits to go help anybody else. We all know that. But I do know a lot of people that, I can put together that can help in various different areas. So I have been doing this in the background for the last 2 years. I've been sort of hooking people up who need help where they do, and I might know someone who knows someone who knows someone, and we can get a bit of help to them. And recently that has been borne out. And I was having a conversation about this with an old pirate that we all know and love, when I was looking to try and find some kind of a solution for this person that had had an accident, and they own a fifth wheeler, and due to a set of circumstances that local councils will pay for in the long run, he was asked to move at a time where he really wasn't in a fit state to move his van anywhere, and wound up cleaning up the front portion of it and putting some fairly sizable holes in it, and ripping the roof out and all sorts of mess. Now it is repairable, but it doesn't make it terribly livable at the moment. So I want to try and help. So I was having a talk, and a term was thrown at me that I agree with 100%. I can't fault John for using the term, and when I brought this particular topic up, he said, "Mate, I'm not a stretcher bearer." And he said, "You can't be either. We've got too much to accomplish. We can't stop. If somebody falls in front of us, that's very sad. We do what we can as we step over them, but maybe the best thing we can do is put them down." Well, I don't know. I quite like the idea of having some stretcher bearers. Now, I'm not for 1 second believing that I am one of those stretcher bearers, because I don't have the time to help everybody. But what I want to be able to create behind the Voice of Freedom is a network of people who can, and I want to call them stretcher bearers. So if anybody finds that offensive, please let me know. But in part, I want to call them stretcher bearers because it evokes in me Anzac type memories. Memories of the Anzac, Simpson and his just saying. So if you're a stretcher bearer, doesn't matter where you live, what part of the country, where you are, this is about helping people in their greatest times of need. And it might simply be a matter of being able to network, like it was in this case, the fellow that I'm thinking of that was having trouble with his doctors and getting his mental health plan fulfilled and getting the meds that he was meant to be on. I was able to hook him up with who I think will be our lead stretcher bearer. And he was able to go to a doctor that he knows, and a psychologist and psychiatrist that he knows, and be able to get assessments done, no red tape, no moving around, and prescriptions sorted. So this fella was able to get the medication he needs. Now, that's the kind of stretcher bearer thing I'm looking for. There might also be legal stretcher bearers who are willing to help out, both in a common law and, well, let's call it play court, even though it is the one you walk into. if there are people interested in becoming stretcher bearers, if you are somebody who can't walk past another person who is in pain and hurting, then we might have a home for you here with the Voice of Freedom. We're not asking you to take people in. We're not asking you to do anything more other than coordinate help. If you are to be a stretcher bearer, ideally you have some skills in one or many areas, but you have a big contact list. You know a lot of people in your area and a lot of people who might be able to help out in different situations. For instance, you might need to know a plumber, but you might also need to know a welder. You might need to know someone who can fabricate. You might need to know someone who can, plant things. I'm thinking about equipment, all that kind of stuff. Who can supply equipment? Who can help with manpower in a particular time? If it happens to be a property that needs to be cleaned up because a council is going to come and take it off the elderly owners because they're unfit and can't get out and mow the lawn anymore. That is happening in certain parts of Australia. Then, become a stretcher bearer. And a Voice of Freedom stretcher bearer. I don't know. I'm just throwing the idea out there. I would like to think that there are many people like me who want to help, who have a lot of contacts and very few skills. So if you're one of them, then you might be a great stretcher bearer. We're going to start thinking about it. So I just want you to think about it at the moment. We haven't set anything up yet, and I want to have a talk with what I will term our lead stretcher bearer at the moment a little later this week. He's keen to further this, to try and grow this, and I need someone like that to look after it. He has a lot of experience in many varied areas, and he is very much a stretcher bearer. So if you are one of those people, not everybody can be a warrior. Not everybody can be at the front line fighting. Not everybody can be, in the courtroom battling legal brains. Not everybody can be in council meetings urging them to work for the people who put them into that position. But maybe you can be someone who can help pick up the wounded, because there are plenty of wounded. There are plenty of wounded. You don't have to walk too far out your door to find them. And I don't mean the homeless ones, or just the homeless ones. I'm talking about the ones now that are waiting for the next interest rate rise that will make them homeless. I know two people who have mortgages that have gone up in excess of $1,200 a month in one case and nearly $3,000 a month in another. Now, I don't know how many more mortgage rises these people can handle, interest rate rises. But I suggest in one case, probably not too many more. And what happens then? Okay, you might get a little bit of money out of the payout of the property, whatever it is you happen to own. If you manage to pay a lot of it off, then great. But if you went in and bought this property while interest rates were nothing and they were encouraging you to go in and buy another property, get an investment property, do this, do that, do it with zero interest, get 4 years interest free, lock in your no variable interest. Wonderful. All until you fall out of that, contract, that locked in contract, and the interest rate becomes variable. A lot of people are struggling. And if they had to reapply for a mortgage today, they wouldn't get it based on their income, the same income that they got the previous mortgage on. This is a real problem, and we're going to see issues in our housing market that are going to be artificially propped up by the influx of immigrants that the Australian government have decided to bring our way. So be prepared for that. The first 750,000 of them are due here next year. And in fact, at lunch today, we had a rather interesting conversation about where these people are going to be housed and how that's going to work. And in fact, the solution was shown to us in that they're not going to bring over poor immigrants. They're going to bring in people who are cashed up. So a lot of these folks will be from places like the subcontinent. and Europe, and they will come up cashed up. So your $1-2 million overpriced house in Sydney will still get the $1-2 million price that you're expecting in this market, when in reality the house is probably worth half that, if that. So Sydney is just one example. Melbourne, Brisbane, Adelaide, everywhere. Doesn't matter where you go, real estate is, particularly housing, is not easy to find. And now that I've brought housing up, or rentals up, let's talk about property managers. Now, I don't know how many of you folks have rental properties. If you do have investment properties, congratulations. And I hope you aren't struggling under the weight of one or two or more mortgages. However, if you have renters in those properties and you have no real need to put the rent up at this time, and they've been good renters, then why would you want to kick them out? Well, it seems that many, and there is now a lot of evidence of this, many property managers make it their business to try and get rid of tenants who will not pay exorbitant fees. One fella in particular had been in one place for 17 years. It was a commercial property. He'd been paying not only the rent on the property, but the rates and the water as well. And he was doing that by agreement with the owner of the property. And part of that agreement was that he didn't get the rent put up on him. Sure enough, the real estate agent, property manager, wanders in and says, "Oh, the rent's going up." And it was going up $300 a week, which for this property was exorbitant. And he said, "Oh, no. I've got a deal with the owner. He's not putting the rent up." And she said, "Well, we have orders from the owner that that's what it's got to be. So that's what it's going to be." So old mate rang the owner and said, "What's this? You're going to put the rent up on me?" And he said, "No, not putting the rent up at all." They rang and asked, and I said, "No." So then, between the property manager and the real estate agent licensee, they have decided to put the rent up and double it, almost double it overnight. So they weren't going to pass that on to the owner because the owner wasn't expecting any more rent and would have got quite upset had he started getting it without asking for it because of the agreement he had with the tenant already. Now, this has happened, I know this has happened in housing rentals as well. This is a evil trick that real estate agents are pulling. And in fact, I can tell you about two properties. One rented for $700 a week, very happily, and one not rented for $1,100 a week. And the only difference between them was a driveway. That's what separated them. They were exactly the same looking buildings, exactly the same, in fact, mirrored apartments. One $700 a week, one $1,100 a week. The $700 a week was occupied. The $1,100 a week one wasn't occupied. When the person living in this apartment got the notice that they were going to have their rent put up to $1,100 a week, same as the block next door, also managed by the same real estate company, this person said, "Well, how do you justify that?" and went to fight it. So they wound up in the court where you fight these things. And all the agent did to justify the price rise, to say, "Well, we're just raising it to what other properties around the area are getting." And they happened to bring up that property in their other building for $1,100 a week that was currently and had been unoccupied for some months because, surprise, surprise, nobody thought it was worth $1,100 a week. Now, what happened with that case? You guessed it. They sided with the real estate agent. But did the owner know that they were putting the price up? And this is my question. If you have a rental property and you've got good renters who pay the rent every week, how do you know that your real estate agent, your property manager, is not charging another $150, $250, $300+ a week at the moment because they can slip it through as there's such great demand, even if you've given them instructions not to? I would urge you to ask them. I would urge you to get them to prove that you are being paid every cent that's being handed over from the tenant. Because I have a sneaking feeling of dread in my heart that there are many, many property managers and real estate agents skimming and using this housing crisis that we have at the moment to jack the prices up to take a bit off the top. And we do have clear factual evidence of it. Clear factual evidence. In fact, going back to that commercial business, that gentleman in particular walked into the real estate agent and threw the papers on the desk and said, "What's all this, putting the rent up?" And the real estate boss came out and said, "Well, we've got the owner said that's what we have to do. So we've got to do what the owner says we've got to do." And the owner was sitting on the phone in the breast pocket of old mate standing at the counter. And he flies off the handle and says, "Put me onto that idiot now." This bloke picks up the phone, hands it to the lying real estate agent, who proceeds to get a dressing down on speaker for lying and for defrauding him as the owner of the property. And that's what this effect means, right? If a real estate agent does this or a property manager is doing this without you knowing about it, they are stealing from you. That is theft. Now, whether you agreed to the increase in the rent or not, you would have to agree to a certain increase. I would hope, given this kind of family that we have here, you're not one of these people who would increase it by 30% at every opportunity, although many, many people have. If you've got good renters and you know that they're struggling, why would you push them out in the vain hope for a bit more cash? Unless, I guess, if you've got multiple mortgages, you've got to cover them. They're all going up at a great rate. I understand. But there's got to be a better way to fix this. And I urge you, if you have properties, please try and get some Freedom of Information Act request, or better still, go and meet your tenants and ask them how much they're paying every week. And if it's what you're getting minus their management fee, then yip ya, you've got a good one. But if you've got one that is actually spinning the story to the tenant that you want more money and they're not giving it to you while the tenant is paying it under duress, or your tenant is moving out and you can't re-rent your property because you don't live anywhere near it and they're telling you that the market will take $1,100 a week, I can tell you it won't. Not in those two particular cases anyway. So bear that in mind, will you? Give that a little bit of thought. I think there is a lot of nefariousness that goes on in the real estate game. I created the first national real estate show for radio some years ago. We ran it on 42 stations every Sunday morning across Australia. And I had some very eye-opening moments listening to the biggest people in Australian real estate. I'm talking the heads of the real estate companies in private conversations with the fellow I was working with, and hearing how they were speaking about the market in general, and then we'd flick into interview mode and then hearing the lies that would come out of their mouth as they describe the market. Now, obviously, you're never going to talk your own market down, and real estate agents are never going to do this. They're only ever going to talk it up. But to what extent? To what lies will they stretch and I can tell you some fairly significant ones. So I would check your property agents. If you haven't already done so, then make sure you are getting every cent that they are taking and that is due you, because, like I say, there is a lot of evidence around in Queensland, in Victoria, in New South Wales that that property agents are indeed skimming, putting up the rent, and they're putting it up multiple times. So if you're sometimes, we know from experience, sometimes you can go and view a property where they say they'll only give you a 6-month lease on it. Now, they offer up all sorts of different excuses on that, but the 6-month lease is so that they can jam another rate rise in on you. And of course, if you're not a good tenant, they can throw you out. If you sign a 12-month lease, they can't jam another rate rise on you for 12 months. So they can essentially, and have done in many cases, put properties up 60% over a year of what you would expect, or what rent you paid a year ago or 18 months ago. It's now 60% higher. And I can't believe that so many of us are now, with those sort of properties, are rolling around so wealthy. So I think there are some issues there, and well worthwhile looking into if you are in the property game and have some rental properties, particularly rental properties that you don't have any ready access to viewing. You know, something that doesn't, you own something in another town or another state, another city, and you don't get to actually see the property a great deal. And that happens a lot with our Defence Force people. They wind up buying a place wherever they are and then hanging on to it when they get boosted 2 years afterwards into a new posting, and they'll rent it out to somebody else who might be coming in to that position, or somebody through the army, or just rent it out in general, while they go and bunk on base for the next 2 years, saving their money to buy another property. That kind of thing happens quite a lot. So if you are one of those people, make sure and try. I'm not sure how you do it. There must be a way through. You can't very well walk into the real estate agent and say, "Show me the books for what you're getting." You really got to know what your tenant is paying straight from the tenant's mouth. And I'm imagining, as an owner, you have a right to know the tenant's name, and it would be possible, I'm sure you know the address of the property that you own, send them a letter, the old style way, and ask them, just want to confirm that what amount of rent you are paying. And if you find a discrepancy, well, maybe if it's a big one, you can shout the difference to the Voice of Freedom. Keep us on the road another week. That'd be great. Love your work. Speaking of keeping us on the road, it's impossible to do what we do without your support. And that's why we started the membership drive. And that's why we have a donate button on our Voice of Freedom webpage. If you'd like to donate, we need it. We bow down and thank you very much. We're very grateful for every donation, because I know times are tough. We've just been talking now for the last 30 minutes about how tough mortgagees are and all that. So look, I understand 100%. I also want to thank our new members who signed up before the 30th of June so that they could enter into the Limerick competition, and all of the members who have been in the Voice of Freedom membership role since we started it up a few months back. Thank you very much. Your contributions are literally keeping us alive at times, and we wouldn't be able to do what we do without it. So thank you very much. And anybody who wants to join, we're happy to have you. Our competitions going forward will have to be based around members. We can't run a willy-nilly competition under certain legalities, I'm led to believe. So we will have to run similar-ish competitions. We won't run another Limerick one, but we'll have to run another competition. And in fact, today we had a great meeting, a great chat with Paul and his team at Ainslie Bullion in Brisbane, and Cass Smith from Freedom Financial Solutions happened to be in Southeast Queensland, so we hauled her into the office as well for our Limerick winners announcement. And while we were sitting down discussing your creativity and the limericks that came through, some stunning work. Really, folks, very, very talented group. And I would also, at this point, like to say thank you to the trolls who can't enter the competition but decided to email me their entries. Some of them are absolutely hysterical. Unfortunately, every one of them is ineligible. But absolutely hysterical. You must have worked very hard to think about ways that you could insult me in a limerick. And I couldn't tell you, I couldn't be happier. Not with the level of entertainment that I received from them. I mean, congratulations. Great work. Great work. I mean, some of you are very rude and sick individuals. Let's just be honest. But you know that, don't you? You know, blood sucking child, fucking. Anyway, you know what you are. But it is what it is. I did enjoy some, not all, but some of your trolled limericks. Although a lot of you, funnily enough, found it difficult to rhyme Liebold with anything. And a lot of you aren't very good spellers. Just saying. Not having a go, just saying. Anyway, back to what I was talking about. At the table, we were discussing the competition and how well it had gone. We've got a number of new members out of it, which was what it was all about. We hope to get a few more members to try and help us along a bit. And Paul was telling us about a brand new coin that they have put up through Ainslie Bullion and through the website as well, if you want to go and have a look. Now, if I can dig it out of my pocket, I'm sure I've got it in a pocket here somewhere. I did get one. Now, there is something pretty special about this particular coin, and that is the bastard stays invisible when you put it in your pocket, which is good, I guess, if you want to keep it. I've only got one pocket left. And there it is. All right. So I'm going to try and show you on this camera here. Okay. Well, nearly got it. There we go. All right. So that is the Ainslie newly minted round. It's not a coin. It's a round. Now, I'm not sure if you can see that. I'll try and hold it a little closer without the screen taking over. You can see it's got the money tree on it. And I can't read what's around the outside of it. It's in this rather attractive little protective plastic covering. And this is a 1/2 ounce coin. This is a first for Ainslie Bullion. Now, they're about, I don't know exactly the cost of them, about $20. And you can get yourself what is a truly beautifully minted coin. Whoop. It's a really popping design on there. Like, it really stands out. And of course, you've got the Ainslie Bullion. Oh, get it back here, Carl. You've got the Ainslie Bullion design in high relief on the other side. So for about $20, if you're buying coins, and a lot of people have said, oh, you know, what if you only want to pay $20 and you've only got a 1 ounce coin to pay for it? Well, there you go, sorted. That's about $20 at the moment, the price of silver. Absolutely beautiful coin. But we got to talking about how long it took to come up with that design. What was the process involved? Who designs the coin? And I expected it was something, not a coin, it's a round. I beg your pardon. I've got to stop calling it a coin. It's not a coin. This is not a coin. It is a round. Think of it as a round bar of gold, right? A round 1 ounce or 1/2 ounce bar. That's the best way of thinking of it. Definitely not a coin for a variety of reasons. But you can see the high relief there. I'm just trying to move it a bit. So we got to talking about the design of the coin. And Paul had an idea in mind of what he wanted, and he likes to consult with the rest of the staff. So across Melbourne and Sydney, they got together. They ran a few ideas up the flag post. They ran a few ideas down the flag post. Paul had a pretty fine idea of what he wanted, and others had an idea too. Eventually, a couple of different designs were brought forward, this being one of them. And this was voted by their staff as the one they would go forward with for this half-ounce silver coin. Now, if you're any kind of a drawer, any kind of a designer, Paul and I got to talking, and he thought there mightn't be a bad idea to run a bit of a competition to design a very uniquely Australian Ainslie Bullion coin. So, if you are remotely good at design, why don't you have a think about something that is uniquely Australian, right? And that can be stamped in high relief on how many silver coins? Who knows? But that, I think, could be our next competition. Give it a bit of thought. Paul and I will have more chats, and you never know. You could be immortalized by having your coin design, your round design. I beg your pardon, I'm shaking it right near the microphone too. That'll be as loud as buggery. Your round design put to the test in real silver, 99.9% pure. And there might even be half a chance they'll do a gold one. Who knows? So bear that in mind. If you're a bit of a drawer, I want you to get your thinkings gone around something uniquely Australian. What is uniquely Australian? Pardon me, and hasn't been done before. So let's get rid of the skippies. Let's get rid of the koalas. Let's dismiss them out of hand right now. Think something else. And I'll keep you up to date on potentially your opportunity to submit to Ainslie Bullion your round design, or it might even be a bar design. But I'm thinking the rounds look much better. Gotta stop calling it a coin. It's a round, all right? A round half-ounce silver bar. That's how you think of it. And I did see a comment there before that, yes, this would be very handy bartering for, $20 worth of whatever. Sit down for a couple of cups of coffee and a croissant. You probably only get 2 cups of coffee and 1 croissant for $20, but there you go. You might be able to do a bit with that. So they're available on the Ainslie Bullion website, ainslieBullion.com.au. And they are brand new in the door. I think they've had them about 2 weeks, I think the term was. So they're a really, really pretty little coin. It doesn't really show up in high relief on the camera, but yeah, beautiful, beautiful relief. So give that idea some thought, something uniquely Australian. And you never know, we might have a design competition coming your way. I can see some people have got a few thoughts on it already. And if you can draw it all, sorry, Bill. If you can draw it all, give it a go. My daughter, I didn't know she had skills in this area. So she's been playing on an iPad program for the last couple of days called Procreate. Anyway, Procreate is a pretty impressive little drawing graphics program. So I'm going to let her in on this little secret and see whether or not she can come up with something. I'm going to have a go too. Maybe 2 stick men riding a motorbike. I don't know what's uniquely Australian about it. It's about all I can draw, though. 2 stick. Oh no, that's not true. I can do stick men flying stick aeroplanes. They've always been good. I used to do great battles back in the day when I was a kid, drawing those up. Anyway, I've held you up long enough. We did catch up today with Paul and Cass to announce our winners. And we had a lovely little morning. We had a lovely lunch down along the river, the Brisbane River at Eagle Street. Thank you to Paul for taking us out for lunch. That was absolutely magnificent. And his partner, Steph, or business partner, Steph. We had a lovely chat, really lovely lunch. And you guys were the topic in most part of it. So thank you to a lot of you who've obviously mentioned Voice of Freedom when you've popped in to Ainslie, or you've dealt with them over the phone or sent them a letter or whatever. And thank you to everybody in Noosa recently. Paul was up there for well, I guess he was doing a bit of a show to tell people about precious metals, and wound up pushing the Limerick competition up there for the My Places up there too. So thanks very much to everybody up on Noosa, in Noosa area, and the Noosa My Place for getting involved. Sorry, Christoph, I'll just... Yes, mate. Look, yes, thank you to everybody who is inquiring about Laura. Got to say, a mountain of worry and anxiety was lifted off her because she didn't have to go to court. So that was probably the best thing that has happened. Today was the sentencing day. We have not been told yet what he got. We expect we will find that out tomorrow. I hope he gets, enough years for me to forget that he lives. That's probably the best thing for him. But we know our court system is deeply flawed, and our police system is not that much better. And I'll give you an example. I thought, as we didn't get an opportunity on the stand, and I would have let the court become fully aware of just how deeply this prick had affected our family, I was disappointed I didn't get an opportunity. But I'm led to believe that when somebody pleads guilty, you get to make a victim of crime impact statement before sentencing. Now, I inquired through the police how to do that, and was told, oh, yeah, you can do that, and then got fed this great long line about you've got to go through victims of crime assistance and this, that, and the other. And I'm thinking, well, hang on. He's sentencing at this stage. This was last week. I said, he's sentencing next week. How can I get it heard? There's no point in having a sentencing submission if it's not heard at sentencing. Got absolutely no help on that one whatsoever. So I'm not exactly sure how that process works, but whatever he gets today, he'll get without us having any input into it, which is, I feel, a bit tragic. But Laura, in and of it, everything else is pretty good. She's developing interests again. That was a big thing we didn't get interested in very much at all. Did a lot of sleeping, did a lot of watching crap on her phone. Now she's out doing things. Now she's out back creating. I knew that she liked sewing, so I got a really little cheap sewing machine for her a couple of years ago, and she was making little dolls and little soft toys and that kind of thing, which was keeping her at least a bit interested. But hadn't seen too much of that in the last 2 years. And all of a sudden, it's grown up again, blown up again now. But that's, I think, because Sharon, our housemate, has a much better sewing machine than the one I got her. And she's out there sewing dresses now. So the idea of getting her into a dress, for the last 2 years has been impossible. And now she's out making them. So eventually she plans on wearing them. And unless she plans on wearing them around the house, I'm hoping that means she's going to start going out a bit more, start, meeting new people, and who knows, maybe get a job. I think that would be very good for her. I think she needs to get away from me a bit and the dog a bit, and needs to go and associate with some other humans a bit, but she's got to be in the right place to do it, as we all do. Otherwise, it's not going to be good for anybody, trust me. So thank you for asking. I really do appreciate it. And so does she. She doesn't ever want to come on here and talk, but if you come to a live event, she's happy to chat with you and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, she won't ever come on the show and have a chat. She's told me that. No, I'm not going on there. Just having a bit of a look down. Billy's on the road tonight. No accountability in Queensland since the illegal abolition of the upper house in 22. Nobody's held to account like in New South Wales in the upper house. You're 100% right. And Anastasia, I told you that her name's actually said Falasuk, not Palaszczuk, isn't it? It's Falasuk. Yeah, Anastasia and her crew are really pushing that. Well, every Queensland government's pushed it. Let's be honest. And Queensland, I think, holds a lot of dim, dark secrets for the deep state. I really do think that's the case. Anyway, I was talking about giving away this silver, wasn't I? So maybe we should get to and do it. So went in today, caught up with Paul and the lovely Cass Smith. In the heart of Bullion Central at Ainslie HQ with Paul. Thank you, Paul, for inviting us in today. And Cass Smith from Freedom Financial Solutions. We're here to draw the Voice of Freedom Limerick competition. I just want to thank you both for helping us out with the prizes for this. We wouldn't have been able to do the competition without it. Paul, do you want to show us the 10-ounce silver bar that is our first prize?
I sure will. So it's one of the new minted variety.
Oh, that's
10-ounce silver.
very, very pretty.
Good map of Aussie on the back, and yeah, beautiful bar.
And sealed in a plastic.
Yeah, all sealed. Yep. So yeah, it'll stay that way forever.
Beautiful. Look that good forever. And Cass, you've got the runners-up prizes. We have 3. What are they? Koala coins.
Koala coins. So
1 ounce silver.
1 ounce silver with a nice cute koala, mother koala with a baby on her back.
Wonderful. All right. Just want to thank everybody who's entered the competition, all our members. Unfortunately, not every entry was eligible. A lot of non-members decided to enter, which was great, and very funny entries they were too. But unfortunately, if you weren't a member, you weren't eligible. But to everybody who did submit, thank you for taking the time. Paul, without further ado, can you tell us who is going to win the inaugural Voice of Freedom Limerick competition?
Do the drum roll. Will and Kay. Brilliant. Really, really well done. Well deserved.
Yeah.
So you get the 10-ounce silver bar.
A lot of effort went into that.
A lot of effort.
Congratulations to Will and Kay. It wasn't an easy decision though, and that's why.
There's a lot of good content.
Yeah, yeah. So now, Cass, you've got 3 runners-up.
3 runners-up I have, and they were all very close. This is not in any order. They were too good to really judge an order, so there's just 3. Ursula, Bruce B, and Cheryl T.
Ursula, Bruce B and Cheryl T. Congratulations. Picked up a 1 ounce coin each, thanks to Freedom Financial Solutions. And Will and Kay, the 10 troy ounce silver bar, thanks to Ainslie Bullion. Paul, thank you very much for helping us out with this, and Cass to Freedom Financial Solutions. Of course, if you're looking for control over your super, a self-managed super fund with Cass is the way to go. And Cass, clearly, you know how to buy silver and gold from Paul. And he knows how to sell it.
One-stop shop. Yep. Or 2-stop shop.
2-stop shop. Good on you, Paul. Thank you very much, and thanks to Ainslie Bullion again for all your support. Cass with Freedom Financial Solutions. Thanks.
Keep up the good work, mate. Good stuff.
Thank you. So there you go. We had a lovely lunch just after that, and Paul is and Cass both big followers of Voice of Freedom, and thank you for your support. Because clearly you've gone in, you've bought a bit of silver, you've bought a bit of gold, maybe you've bought some platinum, and maybe you've done it through getting your super out of Big Super using a Freedom Financial Solutions self-managed super fund. If you haven't done that, maybe you should think about it. What are the banks doing at the moment? Have you noticed now that NAB are also telling you cannot go and get more than $2,000, I think it is, or might be $3,000 out over the counter unless you ring ahead, days ahead, and book the amount of money that you want to be able to take out cash over the counter? How many hoops are you going to have to dance through to say, I want to get my money out? How many people have you got to beg, borrow, steal, or at least not steal, but you're going to have to explain yourself? How many people are you going to have to do that to at the bank just to get your money? Right? If that's the case, and Big Super's the same deal, then let the professionals look after it for you. They deal with these people all day, every day, and know how to get your super out in a timely fashion and get it into your hands in a self-managed super fund where you can look after it and you get the benefit of it, not them. Because that has been the case for a long time. Please think about it, consider it. And if you want to get your super out, then email me, Carl, at vofhq.com. I'll forward it to Cass and her team. You will get an email from them. Answer all the questions in that email. And if at the end of that email you say, yep, I can do all that, yes, I tick those boxes, or yes, I'm prepared to tick those boxes, then all you got to do, I think, is sign it, send it back, and the wheel starts moving. There's a lot more paperwork involved, but it is a process that can happen in a much shorter period than maybe you believe. So if you are interested in getting your money out of big super and getting it into your hands, and today it was a really interesting conversation to be part of, to hear both Paul and Cass describe the look on somebody's face when they know that they've got, X amount of money in super, a couple of $100,000 in super. But when that translates from paper or off the screen into a pile of gold bars or silver and gold together or whatever, and you're actually holding it, the look on people's faces is one of the best parts of the job and probably indescribable, I would say. But yes, for the first time in your life, you will have true control of your financial future if you put it into precious metals. So talk to Cass and her team at Freedom Financial Solutions. And I'm sure if you've got a spare $20 and you happen to be in Creek Street or in Brisbane, you can pop in and buy yourself one of these. Where am I going to put it? One of these magnificent little half-ounce new Ainslie coins. Rounds. God, I've got to stop saying that. Rounds. So it's a little round bar. That's what it is. A little round bar. $20. Bloody great idea. I think it's awesome. And they're the only ones producing half-ounce rounds at the moment, I believe. I think Perth Mint were doing it there a while back, but they've stopped producing them. So I think Ainslie have taken the gauntlet and done a magnificent job. Keep an eye out for potentially a new competition coming up. Give some thought to something uniquely Australian. Aussie Sue, I don't know if you can draw, but I'm sure out there in Mount Isa you can find something uniquely Australian. And so too for, wherever you happen to be living. There are uniquely Australian things all over the place, but let's try and steer clear from the cliched ones, the kangaroos, the koalas. I personally would like to see a crocodile coin, crocodile round, but that may be uniquely Australian, but it might also be a little bit frightening. There was a redback done some years ago. There was, I believe, a redback 1 ounce silver coin done. I asked today whether or not a wattle tree, for instance, if we could get a wattle tree done with, in silver and just the leaves in gold. And Paul said, yeah, great, but it's not going to be a cheap round, that you're going to get for $20. So no, a bit more designing involved in that one. So whatever you're thinking about for your design has to be silver, right? No mixing and matching. Doesn't work like that. Who knew? But yes, get your wealth into your pocket, into your safe, into your control, because the financial system is doing what it's doing. I can't tell you that the markets are stable. I can't tell you that anything is stable when it comes to property, when it comes to stocks, when it comes to crypto. XLM went down 5% or something the other day. Mind you, it went up 6% a few days beforehand. So overall net loss about, I think it's 0.1%. But crypto is a bit like that, up and down, up and down, up and down. At least that's my understanding of it. The banks, on the other hand, you would expect to be a bit more stable and to have your money for you when you want it in cash. How did you go last week? Did you pay cash everywhere? Did you keep the card tucked away in the wallet and never use it? I got to admit, there was a couple of times I had to use the card last week, but most parts I paid cash and wasn't refused service anywhere because of the card or wanting to pay cash. Didn't even see a sign up anywhere that I went. But I did speak to some people who were on the Gold Coast that did go into some coffee shops that were simply card-only payment, and they offered up cash and were knocked back. After the fourth couple went in there, they changed it back and now they accept cash again. So we had an impact on the Gold Coast, and I'm sure in many other places. And if you're in a smaller regional area or a country town, that influx of cash into your local businesses is just more than you believe what it's worth. That is a great thing for local regional communities. And that's in part what we want to help grow with the Voice of Freedom as well. I want to be able to come into your community and tell your stories and tell folks about what it is about your community that's worth coming to see. If you've got tourism-y things in your area, then let us know. If you've got a council that likes to promote that sort of thing, then by all means, let us know. We can't do it on the smell of an oily rag, and we would like some council involvement if there is potential for us to come along and support things, events. And I'm talking, town events that you might have happening, festivals, all that kind of thing. Don't forget, we can live stream to the world on your behalf. So, and we can bring quite a large show. So if you've got an event in your town that you would like the world to know about, maybe there's some products there that are made locally, that'd be great. Maybe we can help sell a few of those products for you, not just to the locals, but to an online audience as well. I'd love to get an online market day going. So that's going to be a plan. Before the end of this year, we'll have at least one of those. In fact, there's going to be a few firsts before the end of this year. That is my promise to you. And today was great from a perspective of getting to chat with Paul and with Cass about the future of the Voice of Freedom, and hearing their comments about you. The people that follow the Voice of Freedom, they are glowing in what they say about you, and how you've obviously reacted and dealt with them. There is a deep amount of respect coming from both of them towards the audience of Voice of Freedom, and they understand the great levels of trust that you place in them. So that means a lot to me. I like to sit down and meet people, look them in the eye, face to face, understand what they're really about, and I can tell you, both of them eminently trustworthy people, and really good souls to be around. I mean, Cass is just a marvelous human being who has fallen in love. She had 7 goats yesterday on her property, right? So today, all we're hearing about was just how wonderful the goats are. And she's right into that. She's got sheep out there and all this sort of stuff. And they are building towards self-sufficiency, as many of you are too. So they're doing great. Paul, well, absolute gentleman. So he and his entire team, I've had some dealings with a couple of other folks in there too along the way. Really, really wonderful. And if you are looking for any advice in the precious metals field, they're more than happy to give that to you. Just pick up the phone, give them a ring. They've got people standing by to take your call, so to speak. But if you do have questions about silver and gold or buying a precious metal because you've never done it before, and I hadn't, and there are a lot of questions, including how much does the parking cost underneath if you don't get it validated. Get your parking validated, folks. If you go in and get your bullion from Ainslie in Brisbane, I suspect Melbourne, and any other bullion reseller in Sydney or any capital city, I suspect, Wilson Parking are thieves. Just had to say that. I mean, they're doing it legally. They own the car parks, but oh boy, do they see you coming. No fun at all. Cash issues yesterday, Sandy, around some parts of the Hunter Valley. Internet was down. No one could use card or phone. Well, thank God for cash. Exactly right. How many times are we losing people because of power? We're losing access to everything. And they want us to go completely digital? Hello? How's that going to work exactly? Well, it's not, and we can't let that happen. Sunflower, thank you so much for your sticker. Can I read out the winning? I'll tell you what. I'll read out the winning limerick. I'm going to post them on the website, all of them. In fact, I could probably read out two of them, maybe 3 of them. But the fourth one, Cheryl T, who won one of the silver coins, submitted, I think, about, I don't know, more than 3 or 4 different limericks, and I'm unsure which one actually won because I didn't get to pick that one. So I've got to ring Cass and find that out. But I do have the other ones pretty much here in front of me. Now, Will and Kay, they did a great job. I've just got to say a phenomenal job because they didn't write a limerick. They wrote a limerick with 5 verses to it. So if they didn't win on creativity, they sort of won on volume, maybe. I don't know. But this was certainly a standout and was the talk of lunch there for a little while. So let me begin with the first of 5 verses of this, shall we? There once was a grouse bloke named Carl who taught us about the cabal. He travels around with his ear to the ground and he can serve up his trolls a good snarl. He hooks up with people en masse like Freedom Financial Solutions Cass. Folks, have no fear, she'll lend you an ear and help you get your self-managed stash. In land you can invest it from Yarra Valley to Condobolin, or load it up on gold before it's all sold, and you got to move back in with kin. Oh, skipped a line. Now that's not as easy as it sounds, because we've all had our ear to the ground. So to get your bullion with Ainslie and Cass is so pain-free, as freedom is where we are bound. We just love you, Carl. Oh, hang on. Oh, yeah, no, that's a verse. We just love you, Carl, and your show now that you've always got somewhere to go. You're a top Aussie bloke with a huge heart and a joke. Thanks for keeping us all in the know. These bastards sure have a hide. History, we are on your right side. Onwards we march, white hats with starch. Voice of freedom, come on, let's ride. The creativity, I love it. Thank you so much. Blown away by it. Blown away by it. I'm going to read Bruce B's, one of the runners-up. I like to go prospecting mainly and sell all my nuggets to Ainslie. My Freedom Financial solution to all this government pollution is to watch Carl on Voice of Freedom daily. Great one, Bruce. Awesome effort. Awesome effort. Now, I'm just having a bit of a look here. Right. So Cheryl T. I'm pretty sure this is the one Cheryl T. A runners up as well. Cass at FFS suggests to buy some gold. So run to Ainslie before it's all been sold. From Como John's documentation to the My Place food proclamation, Carl at Voice of Freedom says it all so bold. Thank you, Cheryl. Love it. Another good one. In fact, you had some really good ones, but they chose that one because you mentioned everybody in it. And yeah, good score. And now let me just see if I can find Ursula. Here's Ursula. All members of Voice of Freedom display their ability to reason, thus heeding advice from FFS and Ainslie, withdrawing our monies from the global enemy. We will secure our financial freedom. Bloody great effort. That's better than I could do. So thank you, Ursula. Great effort. And did I miss one? Have I missed one? Did I do 4 or did I do 3? Hang on. Let me see if I've missed who I've missed. Ursula, Bruce, Cheryl T. No, I've done it. We've named them all. All right, folks. Congratulations to the winners there. I will post these up on the website. And, well, when I say I will, Vince will, because Vince is the legend in the family. We all know that if you left me in control of the website, it would be down tomorrow. Although I am aiming to improve that. I am aiming to lift my game in that regard. So go over voiceoffreedomhq.com.au and have a bit of a look. We will be making some changes there in the not too distant future with just a bit more information that we're going to be able to put up on the day rather than waiting for Vince to get around to it. I'm going to have another lesson in how we do these sorts of things and hopefully teach my daughter how that works and ask her to upload a bit of this stuff for me. She'll be a big help. Okay, let me just have a bit of a glance down here and see if there's anything else. Can't see any questions. Congratulations again to everybody who who entered the competition. Cass and Paul were very, very complimentary in the level of creativity that everybody displayed. In fact, found it quite a hard choice in the end, quite a hard choice. So it was great that we had such a great reaction too. So appreciate everybody. Thank you, J1. I know an old fella in blue care, big bag of minties he wouldn't share. See, now I was trying to get something really smart and clever that rhymed with Nantucket, but as it turns out, there are really only a few words that rhyme with Nantucket, and I couldn't work Voice of Freedom into it at all. It was a big effort. I did try, though. That's an interesting point you raised, Sovereign Joe. A national security issue that the system hasn't been being kept up a backup. I've heard that as well. Now, what level of truth there is to it, I don't know. I can't begin to imagine that the debt book is just going to disappear because somebody forgot to back it up. Just find that a bit too hard to believe. Mind you, some of the weird shit that's going on in our world at the moment. What's weird, what's not? I guess we're all going to redefine that. Misha, thank you very much for your sticker. And Sunflower for yours. I think I thanked you earlier. If I've missed any other stickers in the chats. Misha. God, there's a couple there. Thank you so much. Appreciate you so much, and all of you who choose to donate to the Voice of Freedom. Hopefully, we are going to be able to make some big changes and some big improvements from now going forward. With a little bit of luck, we will might need to do a little final donation drive, but we are looking to get ourselves in a position where we can come to you and do it on a cost-efficient basis or in a cost-efficient way. So in the next week or two, I hope to have a bit more news on what we're going to do. It's going to be a major fundraising effort. But to achieve this will be the first step in taking Voice of Freedom to the next level, to what I've always said I want the Voice of Freedom to be. And that's not just me doing a show once a night or, a couple of times a week. That is a channel that provides you truthful, useful information 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In fact, we are exactly the kind of channel I want Voice of Freedom to be, exactly the kind of channel that the government is writing legislation against right now to try and keep us quiet, because we will only be a channel of truth. And to be a presenter on this channel, then you will be telling the truth. You will be able to verify and back up the things that you say, because we're not about misinformation. We are not about misleading people. We are about uniting people, giving them a voice, giving them a direction. And that's what the Voice of Freedom has been about from day one. And now, in league with the log of claims that John Wilson and Bethany and Glenda and the other ladies involved with the appendix and the rewrite, that is what all this is designed to do, to bring us all together, to give us a direction where we can walk that same path together and we get advice from each other. This isn't about this. There is no ego involved in any of this. There can't be. This log of claims is up for your decision, your discussion, your input. Don't sit on your ass and say, oh, look, it's 4 pages long. I don't want to read that. I understand if you've got problems reading, but if you don't, read it. See how it strikes you in your heart. See if there is anything in there that is missed, that you feel is missed. See if there's things in there that you feel should be added or could be omitted. Tell us, give us feedback on it. Is it a document you would be prepared to sign if I turn up in your town one night, put on a show, and have a petition to sign the log of claims with me? Is it something you would sign? If that's the case, great. If not, that's okay too. It's okay. We're not demanding that you sign this. What we do want, though, if you don't want to sign it, we are asking respectfully if you could tell us why. Because if you won't sign it, there will be others who won't sign it, and there might be a core reason that we are missing in the document where people who refuse to sign it are feeling in some way excluded or whatever. I don't know. Can't think of a reason why you wouldn't sign it, but maybe there is a reason. Just because I can't think of one doesn't mean there isn't one. So give it a look. Go to our website, print it, vofhq.com, go to the log of claims tab, and it's right there. You can download it, print it out. It's now in beautiful Technicolor, which makes it easier for people like me to read, believe it or not. You may not need the colors, but many of us do. Go and check it out. The girls have put a huge amount of work into it, as has John, as have I. So we need your input. It is a document for the people. It just had to be started somewhere. And it is a direction I believe the country can follow. And if we're listening to Bethany last night, she's had interest already internationally. She's part of a number of international groups. And she's had interest already for our log of claims to be adopted and used overseas. Because pretty much it will stand up anywhere in the world almost as it is. There's not going to be too much modification required. Can you imagine what the world would be like if we all had a similar log of claims, a list of demands that came through? Can you imagine what that'd be like if we all had that single direction that we were following to look after each other first and foremost, to look after ourselves, our family, our friends, and our fellow man? That means when you see someone lying down on the street somewhere, it's not a matter of throwing money at them. It's a matter of asking them, is there anywhere they can go to sleep? And maybe finding a stretcher bearer that you can pick up the phone number for in your local area off the Voice of Freedom website to see whether or not we can't find a bed for someone like that, at least temporarily, to help out. So the Voice of Freedom is going to grow, and it's going to grow through you folks. I will do everything I can to get the Voice of Freedom into your town. And that's what we're working on at the moment, very hard to be able to do, and not have it come to a grinding halt because donations have dried up. I understand times are very tough for everybody, and not least of all, you. So every donation that I get, I am beyond thankful for, and I acknowledge that it is something important to acknowledge, because this has come from people like you who don't have spare money, who aren't wealthy, who aren't rolling around in multiple investment property revenue every week. This is coming from people who get $20 or $5 or $10 here and there that they can spare. And I thank you very much. It goes a huge, long way. What we are going to look forward to, though, if we are going to create this channel, and it will be a channel, folks, it won't be a show, it will be a channel that will have many shows on it, then we can't do it for nothing. But if you own a business and you would normally maybe do radio or TV advertising and they will charge you for it, well, maybe I can do you a better rate. Maybe I can help make you some radio and some TV commercials. Maybe you just want something online to spruce up your social media and all that sort of stuff. Well, we can help you do that. And if we come to your town, we can do it in your office, in your business. We can show your products and we can promote the hell out of you. And if you are going to get us to build a package of that sort of stuff for you, then we would be very happy to run it on our channel as we go forward. If that's something that's of interest, then when we come to town, we'd like to talk. We bring more cameras and more skills than most TV stations have these days, and radio stations for that matter. So we plan to be a one-stop production shop when we come to a town near you. It'll give the Galactic Larrikins something to do during the day, and it'll give me something to do during the day too, while we try and build stronger communities, network, help out with my places around the country. My goal is to open a My Place everywhere we go, or at least leave the seeds for a My Place everywhere we go. It's that important that we start at a community ground roots level. And of course, when we come to your community, we want your talent as well. Particularly if you can sing, you can dance, you can play the spoons, you can tell jokes. I don't care what it is. But especially if you are able to write and sing your own songs, then we will have an opportunity to film you a film clip. If you would endeavour to come and play for us, or like to come and play for us, we'll film your film clip. You can go off and do whatever you like with that film clip, put it on Spotify or Rectify or Umptify or whatever the hell it is this week. And as long as you give us permission to play it on the Voice of Freedom channel occasionally, so we can help promote you as one of our big talent finds, we're happy to do all that for you for nothing, rather than a record company charging you $30 or $40 or $50 or $100,000. Okay, I'll be honest, we're not going to make you a $100,000 film clip, all right? But we'll give you a live performance that you can showcase. How would that be? And you'll get it for nothing. So if you're a talent, we are very keen on seeing and hearing from you. If you have a festival, if you have an event, if you have a big rodeo, I'm thinking of you, Aussie Sue, and you'd like that streamed to the world, then we can do that. Let us know. We can come to town, spend a day, a week, a month, whatever it takes. We will make it happen. We want to grow community. We want to grow your business. And let's face it, if you have a business and you want to hang around with the people who think like you do, then quite a lot of them are watching here. And who knows, you might wind up selling a lot of interstate or international sales as well. You might have to start a postal business. Oh, I nearly said something about the Aussie Post there for a minute. No, I won't do that. That wouldn't be good. All right. I'll let you go, folks. I've been going nearly for an hour and a half, so I'm sorry. It's been a bit of a long-toothed night. Thank you again to everybody who entered into our Limerick competition, and congratulations to all the winners. I will share with you, just before I go, a couple of interesting things that have happened in the world. This bloke, Jeffrey Carlson, has died. Who the hell is Jeffrey Carlson? I hear you say. Yes, that was sort of my thoughts too. But apparently he was an actor in All My Children. Have you noticed in the last week or so, I think he would be about the 8th or 9th actor. This one played a part that turns into a transvestite somewhere along the line and changes shows. I don't know. I wasn't that interested in the first place. But interesting, a lot of people are dying of mysterious things at the moment. And maybe the Victorian Chief Health Officer has half an idea of what that is. He has issued a highly contagious alert for an infection spreading across Victoria. Now, Brett Sutton says that cases of shigellosis, I think is how you say it, shigellosis or shigellosis, which is a highly contagious type of gastro, are mainly among men who are having sex with other men. So, hang on, just let me get this straight. This highly contagious infection that is bacterial or resistant to antibiotics is mainly showing up in men who have sex with other men, and cases have also been detected in returning travellers. I don't know. Have the returning travellers been putting planes up their bums or something they shouldn't have? I'm unsure what maybe they've been to places where they were sharing other men. Okay, all right, I can understand how that is. It is interesting to note that this antibiotic-resistant infection is, well, looking like it's going to be the next big health problem in Victoria. But it is starting out very similarly in the gay community, similar to how AIDS and HIV broke out back in the 80s. And those of you who are awake will know that the AIDS epidemic, I guess it was at the time, not a pandemic, was brought on by Dr. Anthony Fauci. You might also be awake enough to know that there is certain elements of the AIDS virus mixed in with the personal jab. How nice is that? Anyway, I'm sure folks living in Victoria stay away from shigellosis or shigalosis, or just don't put your dick in another man's bum, maybe. I don't know. Then, what can I say? There is one more thing I would probably like to share with you, and I've just dumped it from my screen, so give me one moment. Actually, there's two things I wanted to share with you. This one, I can't wait to see the Northern Territory, the NT Times headline for this. Swimmers flee Northern Territory swimming hole as man attacked by crocodile. Awful thing to have happen. You'll never see me swimming in the Northern Territory. Dozens of tourists have got out of the water and fled after a bloke was attacked by a crocodile. Now, that looks to me like it's a freshwater area, but sometimes saltwater crocs go in there. I'm just going to say to you, what the hell are you doing swimming anywhere in the Northern Territory? I mean, that really, it's not bright, not clever. The thing I was really keen to show you today is what's going on in Western Australia. An Aboriginal elder has shut down a bushfire restoration tree planting event in WA over the weekend. Why did he do that? I'll read it for you. A community of tree planting event in West Australia reportedly been shut down by a local Aboriginal elder, citing the state's controversial new cultural heritage laws. The mayor of Greater Geraldton, about 420 k's north of Perth, said in a Facebook post on Sunday that the tree planting at Wonthella Bushland Reserve had been called off as a result of the Aboriginal Cultural Heritage Act. Despite checking the site online prior for any Aboriginal heritage, of which there was none, a respected local knowledge holder shut down proceedings on the basis of ground disturbance and the new Aboriginal Cultural Heritage Act and the significance of the site to the family. So WA's sweeping new Aboriginal cultural heritage laws started up on July 1, of course, imposing harsh penalties for damaging sites of traditional significance. Now, it's not just that. They've also given, created a rule that if the surface of the land is disturbed more than 50 millimetres, then you need to seek cultural approval and a permit. So you can't plant anything. You can't even scarify the ground because the scarifier will go down a bit deeper than 50 mil. Probably go down 150, 250 mil, maybe more. So farmers are absolutely rooted. Now, this is what McGowan, Western Australia, with, and is being backed up by the idiot that they put in to back up McGowan. So I got to say, it's a bit of a fright, a bit of a farce, and for people in Western Australia, particularly farmers in Western Australia, I cannot believe what sort of anxiety you must be suffering at the moment. Negotiating some of those, access to your own land, I'm sure will be made available to you. You'll be able to sit down and negotiate, but it'll be, oh yeah, what are you planting? How much a tonne are you going to get out of that? And how much of that per tonne are you going to give us? This is not the way to build unity, folks. And Western Australia is leading the way with division. And I think you'll find Victoria probably following that pretty well. Okay. Somebody has just posted up a link in my Rumble channel, which folks might be interested in watching. I have not. Let me just post this link in another thing up here and make sure I'm not posting something up that's going to send you off to, Peter's Porn Palace or something. Yeah, okay. I don't think I like that. It says there's a live stream happening with Donald J. Trump and Tucker Carlson, but I've just gone to the link and had a look, and apparently there is one subscriber to it. So I'd suggest to you that's probably not happening right now, although I think we will see an interview with Trump and Tucker Carlson fairly soon. All of this hopium that's flying around, and I'm going to leave you because I've gone an hour and a half, but don't get sucked into all this hopium that's flying around, folks. Somebody told me the other day that Trump's going to be inaugurated as president on the 23rd of July. I said, oh, and why? How's that going to happen? Why is that going to happen? Oh, it'll all happen because Biden will get knocked, and the whole Democrats thing is going to fall down, and yeah. Look, I guess it probably will happen that way, but whether or not they put Donald Trump in as the new president on the 23rd of July, I find that a little far-fetched at the moment. While he could well be and should well be the president based on true vote counts, I don't think they're going to give that up that easily. So keep an eye out. When it comes to this was a topic of conversation today as well. When it comes to the quantum financial reset, at the moment, anybody who previously knew anything about it is saying nothing about it. And if they are asked questions directly about it, they are claiming NDI protection or NDA protection. NDI is a video format, or streaming format. So yeah, look, just be stocked up, have a bit of cash on hand, folks, have a bit of food in the cupboard, and the world is a really weird place at the moment. We've just decided to go and do a deal with the Germans to make them battle vehicles. I'm pretty confident that they're the same kind of ones that we're making and been sending to Ukraine in great numbers. Now we're not sending any more of those, and thankfully Albanese has said you're not getting any of our jets and you're not getting any of our tanks, because we only have 51 tanks, and I think we have 35. Might be wrong. 35 F-35s, I want to say, and I think we have less than 15 operating F-18s. So not going to share them around too much, I wouldn't have thought. Thank God for that. No, instead, he's going to send another 110 million of our dollars to Ukraine instead. How does that make you feel? Almost makes you want to be that dickhead on the road if Albanese happens to be walking across the road in front of you, doesn't it?
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up.
Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life.
It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back.
Does anybody else want to stay?
Let's ride!